Yes, dear participants, we are going to start our next session, which is on IoT with cybersecurity perspective. We have with us Professor Ramya Shah. He is the assistant professor in Gujarat Forensic Science University, and he has done his MTech in cyber security and incident response from Gujarat Forensic Science University in July 2017. He has done his Bachelor of Engineering from CUSA University. He is currently holding the post of cybersecurity and digital forensic researcher. He has done many projects like Glint, VCare, and many others, and he has used many forensic science tools to check about the crime and many other things. He has the skills of networking, database, operating system, languages, and scripting, and he is also enthusiastic and avid learner. So I request Professor Ramya Shah to carry forward the session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much for that warm introduction. Definitely, just give me a second. I'll be sharing my screen and we'll be getting back onto the session.
Okay, sir. No problem.
Yeah, thank you. I hope I'm audible.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so is the screen visible?
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Great. Shall we begin or shall we wait for a few more participants to join?
Yes, sir, it's the time. We should start.
Okay, then. Good noon, all. I know this is not a right time because it might be like a post lunch will be always a sleepy thing. But still, I'll try to make the session more interesting and I'll try to be more interactive throughout the session so that all of you get connected and stay connected. Yes, any queries? Okay. As given introduction, myself Ramya Shah. I am an assistant professor in the cybersecurity and digital forensics section at the National Forensic Sciences University, which is also an institute of national importance that falls under Ministry of Home Affairs, Government of India. This is a small hi from my end, and Mr. Bean is the guy who is waving to you. The motivation for keeping him before I start the session was he gives that motivation and he gives that passion and enthusiasm for which we can have all these sessions and can have future connections. Shall we keep the medium of communication English or shall I use few words of Hindi or Gujarati in the communication? It depends on what all you prefer for the same. I'll be comfortable in all these three because I'm not knowing the fourth language.
Some of them, sir, are from South India and might not be able to understand Gujarati. Yeah, sir.
So definitely I'll be keeping 95% in English and I'll be including some 5% in Hindi so to make it more interactive.
Sure, sir.
Okay. Let me just start with the basics first. I know many of the sessions have already been conducted, like what is IoT and what are the things which are involved in it. But I have some different perspective for the same, and I'll be going through that first. I won't be taking more of your time in basics. but still I'll like to show you some interesting concepts of it. So in general terms, what I believe what IoT is are like, IoT means connecting everyday things embedded with electronics, softwares and sensors to internet to collect the data. Basically, we have seen lots of devices in recent days, and many of us are already uh, prone to it. Like if we don't wear a smartwatch in our hand, it doesn't suit us. If we don't have those Fitbits in our hand, we have no ways to calculate our steps. And yeah, this is how technology has prone us to use itself. But as the session is for, like, I am a cybersecurity guy, and we always target out such things. And being a digital forensic professional, we also go and search for such evaluative things. I just forgot to add that I had been working as a scientific intern at Forensic Sciences Laboratory, that is Directorate of Forensic Science, where I have been involved in solving lots of national and state crimes. I have solved like more than 100 to 150 of such crimes. So I'll definitely giving you some inputs from those ends as well. Like when we are talking about some crimes, we always have use of gadgets. And how can such gadgets and such technologies cause hindrance in catching a criminal? I'll try to cover a few things about that as well. Before we begin, we should have a close look at our mobile phone, because mobile phone is definitely the smart gadget which we always been talking about. It's a part of IoT. It is an IoT device. Not beginning with much depth, but yes, GPS tracking, gyroscope, adaptive brightness, face recognition. In recent times, on fingerprint sensors. Also, we have the back-mounted fingerprints, the hardware-based, which IoTs are generally used for. We recently also we have the fingerprints on the power button. So these are multiple ways how technology is making things critical. There are definitely the advantages of all these things. Like you don't have to move your finger back of the cell phone to turn it on. You just have to fingerprint or point it onto the screen, and it will recognize your fingerprint and it will turn the screen on for you. Same way, you don't have to, even also don't have to go to your touch screen. You just skip your fingerprint on the power button and it will unlock itself. So there are lots of advantages of such things. But I'm always a guy who have negative senses on all such things. And that's why I'll be saying that there are disadvantages. I'm not sure how many of you have done this, but I have definitely done it. It's basically, you can say it like a curiosity of things to do it. We have tried using that cello tape, keeping our finger on it, and embedded it to the sensor which is there on that cell phone. I'm not talking about the on-screen sensors. I'm talking about the sensors which are hardware-based, like the power button sensor and the sensor which is available on the back of your cell phone in most of those Mi devices or the Xiaomi devices. Uh, Participants, if you feel like I'm going too fast, then you can pause me at any time. And if you are having few questions, then you can just either pin down in the message or you can just raise out in the mic. It's fine. Yeah, so I was talking about the curiosity which I had and which we have tried. So when we are sitting in groups, we always try out some interactive things, and these things work. So you can consider these things as the limitations or the challenges of some smart gadgets and devices. Moving ahead, I won't be sticking into this because I know you have lots of them, which I initially planned out for the initial sessions. So skipping this right now. We always talk about evolutions or the evolutions which are going on. So same way there are evolutions in IoT. Evolution starts with definition itself. So back in 2000s, in the 2008 and 9s, the definition of IoT was stated as IoT enables the internet to reach out into the real world of physical objects. This is how it was a simple connection between the word internet and the physical world objects, the things, the words which we call them as things. But the concepts go on changing, the things get on evolving, same way the definition did. According to 2020, the definition of IoT states things having identities and virtual personalities, operating in smart spaces, using intelligent interfaces to connect and communicate within social environment and user context are Internet of Things. So now here we have included some sense of intelligence, we have made the things more smarter. Definitely, they are not smarter than us, but still, yes, we have made things more smarter. We have added that sense of intelligence in it. We have added that sense of communication power and the protocols in it. We have added lots of storage devices or the backends of such IoT devices have been developed on a huge scale. This is all possible because of the real world trends which we are facing. This is a textbook definition of IoT. It is a network of physical devices, vehicles, and other items embedded with electronic software, sensors, etc., which enables these objects to collect and exchange data. See, when we are talking about things, when we are talking about internet, we should have devices in our mind which we should be targeting or which we should be at least aware about. So right now, what I always believe is that IoT has definitely given us lot many advantages, but it has made us lazy because the things that we are using as an IoT gadget or an IoT device is only and only to increase our comfort level. Innovation of cell phone to increase our comfort level, to not go physically and meet someone else. Uh, Advancements of refrigerators, the smart ones that we don't have to go and manually adjust the temperatures again to make us lazy and to increase our comfort level. Same way, we can talk about the ACs and all. Same thing. It based on the room temperature, it can set it. Based on our voice control, it can set it. So the things are going and making us lazy. I know I might be sounding a bit negative, but this is an approach to go for some positivities of things and to be more secure. This is what I understand by IoT. We can divide it into three words. It's to interact, contribute, and collaborate. IoT is expanding interdependence of humans to interact, contribute, and collaborate. Two things. Now here things are the physical devices or the things which you are normally tend to do or tend to talk about. So if you are let me give you a plain example. If you are buying a smartwatch, let's say if I'm buying a new gadget, that's the Oppo watch. I'm not a company oriented guy, but still let's to be giving more specific example about Android devices or the Android wearables. Let's say I'm purchasing a new Oppo watch that has been revealed like in June or July. Why do I buy those things? First thing is the passion or that prone to have some new technology and the gadgets. Second, to have flexibility of not taking out a cell phone from my pocket and receiving it directly through watch or the wearable interfaces. Third, to calculate the steps which I walk to measure the physical fitness, to have that wristband in place of watch. All these things are a part of buying that new watch. So here we are interacting with that watch. We are contributing ourselves because the sensors which are present on that watch, the sensors which measures our heart rate, which measures the steps we walk, which also sense how depth our sleep was. अगर मैं 8 घंटे सोता हूं तो वो वॉच बताएगी मुझे कि yeah, my sleep was good. If I'm sleeping for 6 hours, that watch says that no, you need to sleep for 2 more hours because this can spoil your health. So these are the things, but these are not the way how we tend to live. The more advantages you take from technology, the more harmful it is from an point of vulnerabilities. I'm sure you might be knowing about what vulnerabilities are, but still to cut it down, vulnerabilities are the loopholes in a system or in a technology which allows a third person to access your technologies or your personal data which has been stored onto these gadgets. Evaluation of IoT, it all started with ATMs, followed by web, smart meters, digital locks, smart vehicles, and smart cities. You might have heard about examples of lot many of these things. I'm not sure if you have heard about smart cities or not, but we should be aware about why do we require an IoT gadget or why do we require IoT technology to work on. This is a question which you should be asking to you and to the organization where you're working. Like, how confident are you that your organization's connected products, devices, or other things are secure today? Uh, can we just have a random count? How many of your devices are using Windows 7 right now and Windows XP? Just rough count. If let's make the session more interactive. If you all suggest, then we should go for this interaction. So just a rough vote: Windows 7 and Windows XP.
5 to 10%.
That's where we have evolved in terms of security then. Because still, to be more frank and to be more bitter and truth, there are lot many systems who are using the outdated versions of Windows, which have no supports and no updates from Microsoft's end. Also, there are lot many schools where I have visited. They are using the outdated versions of Windows servers to store the data and to manage their whole network and systems. This happens. Same thing happens with the IoT gadgets, the cell phones which you are using. There is an option of security patch in your cell phone, if you are aware. With each and every updates, you get those things updated. It's not just an update of GUI or things which you are waiting for, like I'll get a camera update, I'll be getting a GUI update. These things are add-on. But the main or the major target is the security updates, the patches, based on which you won't be able, or the persons won't be able to access your things which were accessible in the previous versions. This is a might case, so don't consider that it might be in all the cases or it's a compulsion of in all the cases, but in general. So this is a graph from Deloitte's survey. Deloitte is an MNC which you are already aware of, the big fours, which is working a lot more in cybersecurity and the incident response phases. This was a survey by Deloitte, and this the same question was asked to more than 4,200 participants in that survey. There were few ones who were confident, but there were some who were not even aware that yes, this can affect or this cannot. So as you can see in the graph, there is a ratio of 51% who are confident, I mean somewhat confident. There are 80% who are very confident that their products which we are using are secure. There are 8% who are not confident, even 1%. And there are 23% who are uncertain, or a consideration of a section between confident and non-confident. Okay. Yeah. The need of IoT, when we are talking about few things, we should be knowing about these things. There are three main concepts when we are talking about needs. The first one is to connect, the second one is to monitor, and the third one is to control. Now, connect, I know it's an easy phase and it's unexplainable. I mean, it's an easy way to go through it. There are no needs of explanation for connecting a device. But monitor, we have seen in recent scenarios that people are sitting at any place and they are controlling their variables or some other devices which are located at some remote places. Possible. We are used to have few things. Like let's say right now I'm sitting in a lab right now, but I'm accessing a system which is at some other place in my university. And I'm doing it right now. So that's the importance of the things which we require. The same thing can go with my watch and my cell phone. The bitter phase and the real truth. This is an image from Cisco IBSC. It's of 2011, but it forecasts 2020. And this is true. We are moving at the same pace. The world population in 2003 was 6.3 billion, while the connected devices to internet were 500. So if you go about a ratio of it, it's 0.08. But within blinks, when you are talking about 2010, there are 12.5 billion connected devices soon after the launch of the internet services at a public scale or on a huge scale. But the world population was 6.8 billion. Still, if we move on, and if I directly jump to 2020, the ratio goes to 6.58 with a population of 7.6 billion, but the number of users who are connected, these are 50 billion. These ratios are based on the physical papers, but there can be far more devices which are connected to internet, which are interconnected, which are not registered, not known on public profiles. So you can assume the growth or the graph of those devices which have been connected to internet within the span of time. This can be an example. This can be a better way to explain IoT. We have seen lot many hospitals right now. They are providing the variables, the fitness trackers of their specific hospitals. I won't be naming any hospital because that could be a biased thing right now. But yes, there are many hospitals which are providing fitness trackers. They use this thing to control and monitor, not to control, sorry, to monitor the patient, which is a part of their hospital curriculums. So before, if there are any emergencies created, before a patient arrives, they can keep all these things ready, all the requirements ready for that patient based on his reports and based on the devices which they have worn, which makes it easy for a patient as well as the hospital administration to get a lifelong things. Because with the help of same, they can save a life. We have also seen there are smart gadgets and smart wearables that detects the change in the pulse moments and can help you identify that are you going through some stroke moments or something like that. That's definitely useful. These things are more useful when you are passing out through an age of 45, 50 plus. I definitely recommend that we should be having at least one such gadget. But on a contrary, you should be secure. You shouldn't keep your Bluetooth active. I'll be coming to all those privacy points. But there can be lot many hindrances in the same. Moving ahead, I've already discussed examples of it and you already passed through it. But this is an example of smart lock. This was the one which was initially provided and controlled by Amazon first, and then it was transferred to some other companies. But they had some smart locks which either you can open by voice controls, you can open by your cell phones. I mean the Bluetooth connections. Once your cell phone reaches into that connectivity, the smart doors opens. We also have smart farming techniques as we are living in a country where agriculture has been given more importance. So definitely the use of IoT devices in a smart agriculture system, that definitely is a great thing. I'm sure you might be aware about the photograph which is mentioned in the third, the place and the location of it. It is well known by the name of London Bridge, but still the actual name of this bridge is a Tower Bridge, which flaps it up open based on the things or the steamers or the cruises which are passing through it. So this is a long back history, and still we are having those IIoT things as a part of revolution. Coming to the market share, which is always important when we are talking about the types of attacks which are occurring on it. Cutting the things a little bit shorter, manufacturing or business have 40.20% because the supply chain, robotics and all are a part of my market share. Healthcare 30.30% because portable healthcare, electronic recording, safeguards all are a part of healthcare systems right now. Same way retail is from 8.30. You have seen, we are living in a country which is in a phase of development. But if you have relatives, if you have friends in the abroads or in outer countries, you've always seen those automation features. I'm not saying that our country is back driven in cases of such things. We are evolving. We have smart city concepts. We have things which are gaining more and more evolution phases. Like we have few things in Bangalore which are fully automated. We have some smart gadgets which are definitely useful in healthcare. But still, there are few things which we are lacking on, which we should be improving on. The last one is the security phase, which consists of 7.7%. We have all those security doors, biometric sensors. Even if you're talking about university, we have all these things. So that's definitely for security. Is this a transport company or a technology company? Can anyone just pin down in the message? Is it a transport or it's an technology company? Technology, okay. Great, perfect. This is where people lack out. This is definitely a technology company. It's not a transport company. The reason all of you are aware, as you already gave the answer, so I'm skipping for it. This is what I wanted to discuss. I'm not sure if you have seen the concept of this previously or if you have just gone through the video series of Mississauga. Sorry for my voice. Smart city. We have always heard about it. We have always thought this should be there. We have smart city concepts when we are talking about Gift City, Gandhinagar. But still, we are lacking in few phases of implementation because there are few things which are being underdeveloped. We also have one smart city that is being developed at a place, I just forgot the name of it. But let's consider right now a role model of a city which is already considered smart and have all those things which needs to be implemented. The term, I'll be coming to a video demonstration of the same, but I'll be just going through the lines of it. The term smart city was created to describe how cities around the world are using data, technology, and innovation to transform and modernize their services. By working closely with community partners, business, and industry, smart cities build vital connections to foster open government, make data more accessible, and enable research-based decisions. There are few limitations, there are few cases which they haven't revealed, but I'll try to reveal few of them during my session. Let me just lead you through a small demonstration of a video about the smart city. Let me change my presentation view. Is the screen visible? Can anyone just ping the screen and the audio as well?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Mississauga is the 6th largest city in Canada. We're ranked the 24th largest in North America and the #2 place to put your foreign investment.
Our citizens told us that they wanted a more pedestrian-oriented city. They wanted a city where they could move about more easily using transit and alternative transportation modes. They wanted a city that was prosperous, that had jobs, that was environmentally sensitive.
We were early adopters of technology with implementing voice over IP, one of the first in Canada to really do so. And that really was the foundation and really did drive out the benefit of having a private fiber network. What we found is connecting some of our hard services has been a way of actually improving how they perform.
City of Mississauga has deployed Cisco wireless mesh in most of its intersections and streetlights throughout the city. And that's going to connect the streetlights, it's going to connect cameras, it's going to connect people, buses, and vehicles throughout the city. It's going to create an invisible wireless communications network.
Mississauga's had the foresight to really see that in order to connect people, processes, data, and things, they need to build a municipal network.
So if I'm a citizen and I'm standing at a bus stop, I can look at my mobile phone and I'll not just know when the next bus is scheduled to arrive, I'm going to know if it's early, if it's late.
If there happens to be an incident or an accident at an intersection, we can dynamically redirect that traffic, provide relief at the intersection, and improve the flow of traffic.
Cisco is excited to partner with Onyx and the City of Mississauga to really build the foundational infrastructure and on top of it, the technology applications and services and experiences that really is going to differentiate the city from anything else we've seen in Canada.
Having a strong team is critical to being successful, especially when it comes to implementing and employing technology.
What we bring forward is the integration abilities to take that product, integrate it with what the city is trying to accomplish.
Having Cisco and Onyx as partners really has helped us have a better plan, better execution of the plan, and also a better vision for the future. One of the benefits of being a connected community in a city that really has taken technology to the level we have is it really does make it a great place to live, but also to work.
We're really excited about the prospect of technology and how it's transforming our city and making us a much more engaged and connected city. And we're very fortunate. We think that's a strong competitive advantage that our city holds.
We're competing. We're competing for residents. We're competing for businesses. And this technology really does give us that competitive edge.
I hope that was an interesting thing. I'm not sure how many have already seen it previously or not. But yeah, see, these are the few things which we should be always having in mind. Like when you have the interoperabilities of devices which have been connected, there are few things which can go in a positive way. There are few things which can also have few negative impacts. Share my presentation back. Okay, moving ahead. There are few things when we are talking about needs we should be having. Those things are the database. I know you all are aware about databases, but still each IoT device sends its data to such database, and data can be accessed at any point of time where we tend to have the concepts of availability. There is a trio when we are talking about cybersecurity perspective. We have a trio called as CIA, where C stands for confidentiality, I stands for integrity, and A stands for availability. Confidentially, you all are aware, being in a field of academics, there are things which definitely are confidential at all the points of time, and this is a part of it. Same way when you're talking about integrity of data, it should definitely be maintained, because if I talk from a forensics perspective, let's say if I'm working at a forensic science laboratory, if I've received some case, I've received some cell phones from a case having importance of state crime or national crime, or something related to a murder of a person or some other ways. If the cell phone is sent to me in a working condition, I definitely won't be accepting those things. The reason for that is I'm not sure how the things were or what are the things which have been modified. So the first and the foremost thing what I'll be doing is I'll be capturing the snapshots of the cell phone in a working condition. Then I'll be going for an imaging of those things, and there will be a part of report. So the same thing goes when we talk about integrity. The data which have been asked for or the data which have been sent should be in the same format when it's received or when you are sending. I'm not included in much depth, but yeah, these are the list of devices. There can be a lot more, but when we're talking about IoT, we always have the RFIDs, nanotechnologies, the sensors, the actuators, and a few network devices which can be a part of it. Talking of IoT, maybe it's discussed, but still a briefer view and a smaller concept. Connect, analyze, integrate. You can divide it in a way you like. This is the way how I divided it. When you're talking about connecting, it's connection of various things on a similar platform. When you're talking about analyzing, it's analyzing the data that's been collected to build some intelligence. And when you're talking about integrating, it's to integrate various modules to improve user experience. So the first thing, it's to connect. When we're talking about connect, we always have the concept of virtualization, because there are not all the things. I'll be also showing you a hands-on demo about a protocol where we'll be using some software-based hardware sensors. So that's a part of virtualization. And we are living in a phase of technology where virtualization is a normalized concept. So standardized integration of device with the IoT enterprise. sorry, I added a multiple animation which will lead to some time consumes. Fine. High-speed messaging. The second concept of connecting is when you're talking about connect, we also should be having an high-speed message. High-speed message is a reliable thing. I mean, we should be having it in a reliable way. There should be some bidirectional communication. It shouldn't be like the ones we have in walkie-talkie that over and out, and then the other one goes on speaking. It shouldn't be a singlex one. It should be an bidirectional communication between different devices, or if you are using any cloud source, then it should be between cloud as well. The next thing is the endpoint management. So when you're talking about endpoint management, if you're connecting devices, you definitely should be communicating through all the devices. You should be having an device management identity, like these devices are connected, these are the ones who are the controllers, these are the ones who are just the receivers, and lot other things. So that's a part of endpoint management. When you're talking about analyze, the first portion, because here the analyze word stands for data or the stream of data which we are receiving. I'll be linking this with an example once I complete the phase of analysis. So the first section is stream processing. When we're talking about stream processing, when we're talking about the real-time analysis of the incoming data stream with event filtration, aggregation, and correlation, it should be monitored. The reason for this is if you are having a if you are having a car which has smart features and the functionalities embedded into it, or if you are having an autonomous driving vehicle, it sends all those data in real time to the servers which are being monitored, which are being controlled. Based on that, the decisions are being taken. Based on its own calculation methodology, the decisions are taken. So if you don't have the filtration of data, or if you don't have those segregations and aggregations of data, you won't be able to correlate, you won't be able to analyze the data stream which is being imported. At the same time, there should be a portion of data enrichment in analysis. Reason for this is there are a lot many streams. You are never sure which data is important, which data is not, unless and until you analyze it or you filter it. Like if I give you a log of a firewall, if I just give you a log from ISP, how will you identify what are the important data? So there should be some sections of data enrichment which helps you out to make it sure. The next is event store. When you're talking about event store, there needs to implemented, or there needs to be an integration of business intelligence. I'm sorry I used the short form, but BI stands for business intelligence. So you definitely have to query and visualize the massive amount of data when you are integrating some intelligence solutions. And the data are not in MBs and TBs, there are in GBs and TBs. So definitely you require the hands-on for big data analysis, or you require and support from an analyst who is working in big data and their cycles. Next session is integrate. Here integration is the enterprise connectivity. So when you're talking about the enterprise connectivity, you have lots of those critical IoT data and events to different applications and the processes which are dealing with those applications. So you are having a cell phone, you have an application, you are monitoring an IoT device which has been located or physically implemented at some other place, then there should be a good connectivity flow between those applications, the processes which you are triggering, and the physical devices which are being located. Let me just move to the end one. So yeah, okay. The next one is the REST API or the API. Let's keep it general. So we can go for the APIs which can be used to integrate between cloud apps and the IoT devices. And the last and the most important concept is the CNC centers. There should be one available between each of those communication protocols, which makes it easy and which makes the interventions of human dependencies less. Lots of have been discussed, so I'm just skipping this section, just reading it through. So resource utilization, Security improvements, human efforts are always minimalized. We can name it as humans are getting more lazy because of it, but this is a disadvantage. So development of AI through IoT like Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and many more saves time. This was just the vague and the generalized concepts of IoT. There are a lot many applications. I'm not going through each one of them, but you have already heard of it while you are studying for this. I mean, during this program. Yeah, these are the things which are necessary, which should be considered at all the points. There are 10 diversions or diversified concepts. The first one is not having, see the reasons of the points of this are, when you're talking about security, when you're talking about cyber security, when you're talking about investigations and privacy, there are things which are either lacking from our end, or there are things which are lacking from the endpoint of technology. So if we follow this, some processes or some key points, we will be secure at all the points, even though you are using the highly commercial available gadgets on any of those gadgets, which can lead you to be more vulnerable. So the first one is not having a security and privacy program. If you are using a gadget, it's like a similar case. You are using a laptop which contains all this important and confidential information, but you are not having a log-on password. And you also have a habit or tendency to leave your laptop at any place you go. Definitely, you will be a part of the next attack. The second is lack of ownership or governance to drive security and privacy. There are no such regulatory controls, which have few controls on those IoT devices or the gadgets which have been definitely deployed in those IoT scenarios or worlds. The third one is security not being incorporated into the design or products and ecosystem. This definitely happens. And we have a human nature of getting the things at a cheaper rate instead of going to the security domain. Like if we get a watch from China in 1,000 rupees, we won't be going for a watch of 20,000 or 25,000. This is but sure. The reason is when we are getting all those things at a stipulated rates or in an what shall we say that like cheaper rates, then why should we go and spend more? But what are the mistakes which you are making? We are not sure about the versions which have been used. We are not sure about the ecosystem. We are also not sure about the privacy policies which the device is using. How many data is it sending to some other server or something like that? So the next one is insufficient security awareness and trainings for engineers and architects. Yes. And that's why we tend to have those cybersecurity awareness and digital forensics awareness workshops and boot camps. We have seen people. Let me discuss an interesting case over here. That will definitely help you out. I hope you all are aware about that FaceApp application. Is anyone aware about it? The FaceApp application. I know it's a bit off topic, but I think so it's interesting and it should be covered. Okay. Only few who are aware about it, right? Only one or two. ठीक है. अगर हिंदी में बताऊं तो जवान को बुढ़ा करने वाला जो एप्लीकेशन है वो FaceApp है, या तो बुढ़े को जवान दिखाने वाला जो एप्लीकेशन है वो FaceApp. I'm sure you might have heard about the controversies. Let me explain that same thing in English again. The application, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to English. The application which shows or forecasts like how you will be looking after 60 years. Even though if you are of sweet 22 or 23 or 24 or 25, you can enter a relevant age and it can show you how you will be looking at that specific age. It's nothing, but it's just a morphing of image with those old age faces and a graphs. Same thing, if you are a 50-year-old and if you upload a photo of 50 years and if you want to see how you will be how you were looking when you were 25 years of age, it can show you. And that's why I say it. जवान को बुढ़े बनाने वाला या बुढ़े को जवान दिखाने वाला जो application है, that is what FaceApp is. I'm not sure what the trend was, why the people were following it, but definitely I was also part of it, not as a direct victim, but as an indirect victim, because friends uploaded my photographs over there. The photographs were morphed and given us back to download, that you will be looking like this guy or like this portrait when you will be sweet 60, probably when we'll be enjoying our retirements. So this is what happens. But what we all have lacked, because this point is about security awareness, it's not only, definitely cell phone is an IoT gadget, and that's why it's linked to IoT as well. How many of us are reading those terms and conditions? Are we? No. There can be hardly 1% of population, or not even one from this 68 or 69%. Not even me. And that's a sad part of our culture, our facility, or our age groups, because this is a general tendency which has been followed and we are never reading it. There was a flaw, there were some restrictions, there was banning of the face application in our market in lots of the countries. The reason was very simple. They have mentioned a condition, I forgot the point name, because this example just came it from somewhere in my mind and I discussed it. There was a point in the terms and conditions, in that 2 to 3 page document of terms and conditions, which no one read, but there was some security guy who read it, who enlightened all of us. It was like that. I'm not remembering the exact lines, so that's why I'm saying it. It was something like that: your photographs or the uploaded documents and the images are under the rights of the face app, and you are giving them permission to allow them to use it in the way they desire. It was something like this. So it can happen that next Osama bin Laden may be having your face as his portrait. This is not a session of cybersecurity and all, else I'll be dragging you to those darknet scenes where you are getting all those films in abundance. Just pay $5 and you'll be getting informations about 1 lakh users or 1 lakh customers or 1 lakh clients. And any information you require, all the things are available in dark web. But I'm not going into much of those. Talking more about IoT and coming back to the point where we stopped off. So the fifth point is lack of IoT and product security and privacy resources. Have you seen any documentations? I have a topic of including the OAPS top 10, which are from cybersecurity perspective, but that also things are not updated. I had sent a request for updating the security and the privacy policies. I have also requested in the OAPS for adding of the attack surfaces and attack vectors. I'll be sharing you what are the attack surface and what are the attack vectors in the next few slides. So this is where we lack. We don't have any proper documentation. That we have a documentation of how to use it, but we don't have any documentation of how to securely use it. This is where we are lacking. But we should bring this revolution, we should bring this change, that when we are talking about devices, we should have, or we should guide to use it in a secure way. The next is insufficient monitoring of devices and systems to detect security events. It happens. Why was child lock introduced in the televisions? So that the parents can monitor what the child is watching and can control what he should be watching. I'm sure you all might be agreeing. Like if you are having children, then you are always concerned about what he's doing in his cell phone. If he is having a cell phone, like when I was a child, I was not having, because I got my first cell phone in my bachelor's. That was in 2014, I guess. My first smartphone. I was not using a keypad phone as well. But this is a tendency, because I have seen children of 2 years of age using smartphones to play games, to communicate to their friends. 3 years or 4 years children. But definitely, this is a trend where they don't have their lunch or dinner without seeing videos in their cell phones. But we should be more secure. We should have some restrictions on IoT devices and the IoT gadgets. Like if you are purchasing an IoT gadget or an IoT device for your child, you should be having those monitoring systems embedded on it, which can help you to get the real-time statistics or analysis about what things are going on. The same case occurred. I'll not name the place because there are few things which needs to be kept confidential. But there was a child who was given some smart gadget to use on. To be more specific, he was given a Raspberry Pi. I hope you all are aware now after this training session, like what is Raspberry Pi, because these are the few end sessions of it. So he was given a Pi. He thought to make it some malicious things. And as you are aware, that just by typing the keyword hacking or something like that on YouTube, you get lakhs of videos. And all those videos are the ones which can harm the environment or the society in some or the other ways. So there are a few things which needs to be monitored, which needs to be made secure. Now, lack of post-market or implementation security and privacy risk management. There are again no such guidelines of security implementations and privacy risk. Like what are the things at risk when you are using this device? Nothing. When you purchase a smartphone, what do they say? You get this benefits. But do any of the guys say like, no, see, these are also the risk of using a smartphone? No one. So this is what the marketing strategies leads to disadvantages of security. The next is lack of visibility of products without having a full product inventory. Sometimes it happens. It happened with me when I purchased my noise color fit watch, the Fitbit band, not a watch. There are all the ways how we can start my watch, how we can connect it with Bluetooth with my cell phone, how we can move through different menus, how we can calculate my steps and all, everything. But there was no such guideline that how I can remove a band for charging it, or how we can charge my that Fitbit model case. There are no such guidelines. I was searching for it on YouTube, and then I came to know, okay, this is the way how the steps are removed, and then you can plug it in an USB and you can charge it. Again, one more thing. There should be a question in our mind when we are purchasing. It's using this version of Bluetooth. Are you sure that this is the safer version of Bluetooth? We should be having a question. Because these are the entry points, these are the attack surfaces where the minds or the criminal minds are targeting on. The next is identifying and treating risk of filtered and legacy devices or products. We should have a checklist, and I have prepared one such. I'll be guiding you through those. But we should be having one such things where we should be sure about those risks which are being guided based on the products which we are using. The second is inexperienced, immature incident response processes. Like when you think you get a spam mail, you go on deleting and all such things. Recently, you all are aware about the ransomware attacks, which have been prevailing in lot many schools, which are targeting lot many universities. We have been a part of phishing lot many times, all of us at some or the other time. But we are not that experienced to mitigate those things. Like what we do is either we delete that mail or we just, we are not that tend to go and file a complaint, or we are not that tend to go and investigate who is the one who is sending it. If it's in part of ransomware attack, are you all aware about what is a ransomware attack? Okay, great. So many of you are aware about it. Those who are not aware, let me just give a simple line about it. Ransomware attack is nothing but an attack on an institute or an organization or some compromises or some servers or to, and I am giving the layman words. It encrypts the data. It's a type of malware. It encrypts the data, and unless and until you pay some ransom to the one who committed this thing, they will not give you the decryption key. So you require some key to decrypt the thing which is encrypted. So unless and until you pay like 4 Bitcoins, 5 Bitcoins, 10 Bitcoin, 20 Bitcoins based on the data that has been encrypted, they won't be giving you the decryption key. And unless and until you get a decryption key, you won't be able to decrypt your data into the plain text how actually it was. So these are the parts of, but still I have been called to many places as an incident responder to save their infrastructures or organizations from such attacks or real-time attacks or ongoing attacks. I have seen those immature responses from the ones who are monitoring the things, who are a part of ITs or who are a part of that on-premises SOC team. SOC is nothing but Security Operations Centers team, and they are lacking in such things. Just moving into a brief overview about the communication models. Each and every lecturer of IoT defines it in a different way. Maybe I might be using some different way of describing the same. Direct communication between devices is the first way of communication. I am increasing my speed because I have a lot of other topics to be covered. So if you feel at any point in between, you can just either ping or you can raise a question by turning on your mic. The first one is a direct communication between devices. The second one is a direct communication between device and the application server in the cloud. And the third one is communication through edge gateway. You can have some installers or the setups in between through where your data can be communicated, the on-premise or off-premise gadgets. So can you throw some light on how companies use data from Fitbit? Okay, I'll definitely be coming to it. I'll be taking your question once I just go through this basics of it. I'm skipping this thing right now because direct communication between devices and all you are already aware of. So I'm not going into the theory sections. This is just the graphical view of things. This is through an cloud and this is through an edge gateway. There can be different communication models based on different perspective, but these are the generalized ones. Like you can just have a physical representation or graphical view in your mind that how these devices might be connected to. Skipping the theory sections. These are the links of it. Challenges. I have tried to express the challenges in a positive way. You can consider this as an litotes, but I prefer not to go more negative. So the major challenge is connectivity. We definitely have connectivity issues even in the sessions which are going on. It can be FDP, it can be Viva. Right now, I was just taking a Viva before I started this session. So there are lots of challenges. There are students who are pretending that they are speaking, but they are not speaking actually. So there are also challenges of the online modes and mediums of connecting students. So challenges are connectivity are a part of challenges when we are talking about IoT devices. The major factor that can hinder is the latency and the bandwidth, definitely. Second is interoperability. Now there can be some devices which can be using some different protocols. There can be some devices which can be using some other protocols, and to integrate or to create an interoperability versions of them are always difficult. The next, IoT analytics, it's definitely a challenge because the way you receive a data, it's very hard to analyze it in real-time environment because the sensors go on sending off data, tons of data, and it's hard for you to filter out which is more important. And that's why it's a challenge. It has been solved definitely, but still it has been few challenges when you're talking about the larger cases or complexities of smart cities. Security and privacy. We had lots of discussions about security and privacy and the societal. Societal is just a socialized concept of challenge where there are impacts of energies, consumptions, some environmental impacts of using those smart gadgets, and many more. Last and foremost, that's the business or return on investment. There can be different deployment issues. When you are planning to have your IoT gadget in a market, you will be definitely thinking about the ROI, that is return on investment of your things. So that is again a challenge when you're talking about IoT technologies or IoT. Give me a minute. I'm switching on to another presentation where I have discussions related to few things. Sorry.
Ramya, sir?
Yes.
Sir, shall we take a break of 15 minutes?
Sure. Yes. Then we can have a break of 15 minutes and then we can rejoin. And I'll be. What is the timeline like after the break of 15 minutes? How long shall I be taking the session, or do you want me to take the session?
It is up to 5, sir.
Okay, fine. Then it's great. Let's have a break of 15 minutes. I'll be rejoining at 3:45. Will that be
Yes,
great?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll be rejoining in 15 minutes.
Okay. All the participants, we are pausing for a break here, and you will be meeting in a next session with the new link. Okay. Thank you all.